Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today will be a special double feature as we take a look at these two wonderful action figures. To our left, we have Fennec Shand from Star Wars The Book of Boba Fett, and on our right, we have Bib Fortuna as he appears in Star Wars Return of the Jedi. So these are two very popular characters. They populate the seedy underbelly of the Star Wars universe. Fennec Shand, bounty hunter. Bib Fortuna, the major domo to Jabba the Hutt. As you can see, both characters look wonderful in their packaging. Fennec Shand more so because her accessories kind of fill out much more of the negative space. She comes with this nice helmet and her sniper rifle. Bib Fortuna, on the other hand, it looks like he just comes with a bunch of like random cups or mugs. Not really sure what those are. Like most Black Series figures, they feature amazing looking character artwork on the spine of the box. Really nice illustrations. And on the back, we have the illustrations again, and also short bios on both characters. For Fennec Shand, an assassin and elite mercenary who has worked for all the top syndicates. Clever, capable, and cunning, she is a formidable opponent. Bib Fortuna, those attempting to do business with Jabba the Hutt first needed to maneuver past his pasty-faced major domo, the Twi'lek Bib Fortuna. So yeah, a pair of cool looking figures, and let's take them out of their package. Okay, so first impressions of the action figures while they're still in their trays. Immediately, my first thought was, man, Bib Fortuna looks really tall, and Fennec Shand looks really small. So, let's get them both out. Alright, so for now, I'm just gonna leave these accessories in the tray. They're kind of small, I don't want to lose them. They appear to be just like I said earlier, I think they're supposed to be cups. And, I don't know. So we'll set this aside. Alright, so here are both of the figures. Like I said, there's a considerable height difference between these two. Now, Bib Fortuna here, this is how he was portrayed in Return of the Jedi, not how he appeared much later on in the Book of Boba Fett. Or I take it back, he didn't even appear in the Book of Boba Fett. He appeared in that one episode, I think, was it the season finale of the Mandalorian, and he was much heavier, sitting on Jabba's throne. Height-wise, these figures come in at... Alright, so Fennec Shand, she's kind of much on the shorter side. She stands in at about 5.5 inches. Whereas Bib Fortuna, he's a tall guy. This guy's nearly 6.5. Yeah, I never realized he was that tall. So, alright, so let's start off with Fennec first. Immediately, the first thing I noticed is how much the sculpting captures the actress's likeness really spot on. Like, this looks, you know, like a really, really well done recreation of actress Ming-Na Wen. I think it does a brilliant job of this capturing her facial likeness. You know, she has that perfect expression too, you know. She has a tiny, tiny smirk, but at the same time, she has a very seriousness in her eyes and brow. Yeah, it really captures her attitude. I'm very impressed with the sculpting and the texturing on her uniform as well. You can see all the nice detailing here on her sleeve and on her chest. Likewise, the detailing here on her skirt is really, really impressive. The patterning and the textures look amazing. She has a nice micro texture on the back of her uniform as well, as you can see right here. Yeah, very, very well done figure. She looks amazing. In terms of her accessories, she comes with her helmet. Let's get that into focus. It has the very narrow slit right here for the visor. The hard dome on top, and kind of like the face mask. It's a softer plastic, so let's see how well it fits over her head. Yeah, that looks great. Oh wait, that's pretty neat. Does this actually, is this articulated? Oh no, it's not. Right, so I think this is a two-piece helmet. The visor and the dome are actually separate pieces, but for a second I thought it was articulated, but it isn't. You could, if you wanted to, slightly bring it down, I think, just like that, just so you could like make her eyes kind of like show through. But yeah, that looks pretty cool. And here's her rifle. There's some paint application on it, as you can see on the harness here, on the strap. It's kind of like a burnt orange. And this goes over her shoulder. So the way the strap is molded, it seems like it conforms to, like, I think only one shoulder. So let's see. If I had to guess, I'd guess it, yeah, it goes like this. So it's going to sling over her left side. This is such a cool figure. Right? Just now, as I was looking at this figure, I kind of had this flash, like, you know, this would be a great base body for, like, a G.I. Joe Classified Series figure. You know, if you wanted to create some sort of, like, Cobra Assassin, you know, just kind of repaint this and maybe modify the uniform a little bit. But, yeah, there's something about this, just looking at it, kind of reminds me a little bit of something that you might see in, like, the modern G.I. Joe Classified Series. You know, not necessarily based off a classic character, but maybe, like, a modern interpretation of maybe like a female Cobra Trooper. Yeah, really, really nice figure. Articulation wise, her head rotates. Let's remove this first. So her head rotates. You can look down that much, looks up. Her ponytail, it's a somewhat softer plastic, and you know, since it's kind of tied up like this, it's not going to get in the way, which is nice. Arms rotate, they go out. This one's kind of stiff. Why is that? They're both kind of stiff. No bicep swivel, but a pinless elbow swivel there, which is nice. Very clean look. And it's even more disguised because of all the texture going on. Wrist articulation. She has a cut below her breast line, so she could like swivel. No waist articulation. She could crunch. She can't crunch forward, but she could arch back a little bit. This material here, it's a little stiff. She could kick forward about that much, and she could kick out. The ability to kick out's there, but the range of motion's hindered by this hard skirt. Pinless knees, which is really nice. It's a very clean look. Single jointed knees. They swivel, and ankle articulation. I'm really impressed with this figure in terms of its overall look. It's very clean. I do appreciate the fact that it's pinless. So with the exception of her legs cut here, it almost looks like a seamless figure. And that's very impressive. Very clean looking figure. Great paint application. If I had to rate her on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to be very generous. For me, I think it's a 10. I think it's a perfect figure. You know, the likeness of Ming-Na Wen is like spot on. The articulation's great. You know, even though she can't kick out to the side, I think that's forgivable. The detailing and the texturing and the paint application's awesome. I love the fact that she has her sniper rifle and the strap conforms, so you know it slings over her shoulder perfectly. So yeah, I think it's a almost perfect or near perfect figure. Alright, let's go take a look at Bib Fortuna next. We have Jabba the Hutt's Major Domo. So the first thing I kind of noticed when I first handled him is, you know, besides being very tall, it feels like it's a very stiff figure. This is a very thick material. It's very dense. You know, even though it has some flex and give to it, it feels like it's going to limit the posability of this action figure. But then again, you know, this is not a guy that's like jumping around and like getting in gunfights or like saber battles. You know, this is Bib Fortuna. You know, speechcraft is his game. So, you know, you're essentially looking at something that's always going to be remaining like in a very static, stoic pose. Most of the expression for him is going to be seen through his fingers, which I think looks nice. You know, if you watch the movies, he talks a lot with his hands. Sculpting wise, you know, he's pretty spot on. His face is still very creepy after all these years. There's a nice subtle texture on his robe, as you can see. Even the trim here is kind of like scribed out. I love that his sleeves, they're not really sleeves, but on his robe they have these slits so his arms can like move outward. But like I said, you know, this is such a dense material and so much of it overlays his body that the articulation is going to be very limited regardless of how much articulation is invested in him. His head rotates. He can look down, which is impressive. He can look up, about that much. His tendrils on his head, you know, part of me was kind of hoping they'd be like a almost like a bendy, but they're not. They're just very stiff, so don't get any ideas that maybe this is like a bendy. It's not. Here's kind of a peek underneath the robe. Excuse me. So, as you can see, the robe actually come apart. It actually separates. There's a peg and a little plug there. I guess that's the only way they could get this robe to be as it is and allow it to actually be accessible onto the character's body. He has that body plate on his abdomen. It's a very bare looking figure, but you know, for the most part, it's Bib Fortuna. You know, if you've handled like any of the previous Bib Fortunas from the other lines, like the smaller 4-inch, 3 3/4 lines of action figures, you're gonna feel kind of at home with this guy. You know, even though he's a little bit larger, you know, they kind of feel the same in the sense that, you know, those older figures weren't very like articulated as well. Like this guy has articulation, but there's just so much getting in the way of it. Like, you know, his legs are articulated, but there's no point really because it's not like you could kick them out. You know, its legs won't really kick out, and he kind of just stands there. It's like a Christmas tree. But it's a very solid looking figure nonetheless. You know, if I had to rate this guy on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give him a 7. So, speaking of Bib Fortuna, let's get his buddy out here. We have his best friend, Jabba the Hutt. So this is the 6-inch scale Black Series Jabba the Hutt that came out years ago. And this is what they look like together. It's a match made in heaven. It looks great. So yeah, you know, here's... Man, it looks great having Jabba and Bib Fortuna. It's crazy that after all these years, we're finally getting a Bib Fortuna. Like, we got Jabba, like, early on in the Black Series. That looks... this looks so fun. That's such a great look. But yeah, they scale well next to each other. You know, he can whisper secrets into his ears. So yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. Alright, so let's wrap this video up. Do you need these action figures? I'm going to say yes. If you're a fan of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, you definitely need Fennec. It's like I said, she's Boba Fett's right-hand man. She gets the job done. Dependent, reliable, you know, great-looking figure. Bib Fortuna, you know, even though his articulation and his range of motion is very limited by his robe and his clothing, it's still a very solid outing for this guy. You know, he does what he's supposed to do. You know, it's Bib Fortuna. He doesn't need to be put in like crazy action poses. You know, as long as you can pose him next to Jabba and make him look like he's like negotiating or talking to like, you know, visitors to the palace, I think you're good to go. Alright, so once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.